You're watching Open Agenda. Here's our host, Joe Venosa.
Welcome back to Open Agenda. This week we have a very special guest in the house for an exclusive interview is the new president of the City Council of Salisbury, Miss April Jackson.
Very nice.
Yeah, big changes are afoot in the city, and we're going to get a chance to talk about that. With us in the house for the analysis, of course, it's today another Joe show. We got Joe White from Parsonsburg.
Thanks for having me out.
Thank you, sir. And we got Mr. Joe Scavino from Salisbury. So, as we've covered before on some previous episodes, there was a major shakeup of the city council reorganization. Yeah. Some would say a major sort of deposing of the old order. But I think we would all agree that the direction of the city government is going to be very different and hopefully much more forward-looking and active.
This sounds like this was organic in the sense that there were concerned citizens coming to the public comments asking for appointment reform. It just wasn't happening, and Melissa Holland and others stepped up and said, "Look, we need to take a leadership role and get this done."
Yeah, I think it was backburnered because people like the past president, they were going to lose control of the appointment process. I think they wanted to maintain control of that process instead of opening it up and reforming it.
I think when you factor in the delay on the appointment process, the push by outside lobbyists for ranked choice voting.
Hello, my name is Michelle Whitaker. I'm the executive director for Ranked Choice Voting Maryland. We are a statewide organization.
And then, of course, the things that we've heard about how the city clerk was frankly treated by the former president of the city council. And I feel bad even saying it because these are real people, but unfortunately this is no secret at this point.
Yeah, it was an open secret.
I do think we're seeing a diminishing influence of former Mayor Jake Day and his influence. I think ranked choice voting was almost maybe a last-ditch desperation to kind of maintain control. Mm-hmm. And I think they were banking on being able to control the appointed Councilwoman Holland, and they realized that that didn't work.
It's interesting you say that because the collapse of the ranked choice voting issue was mentioned by a lobbyist who was fairly high up in Annapolis, who's close to the former mayor. And he actually called our system, and it's not an exact quote, but I believe it's close. He called it creaky and antiquated, which is interesting to me because our non-partisan system is actually fairly standard throughout the state of Maryland.
Well, and as Joe's talked about, the statistics in the last 11 years don't bear out that we need it. It's statistically moot, and it's so crazy. And sometimes you get folks who are just ideology, they just get so bent on it that they forget
blinders.
The numbers.
And I think the highly emotional reaction that this lobbyist had to it was an indication, to your point, that it would seem the city influence is moving in a different direction. And it's not to say against the former mayor or toward the new one, but just toward a new, maybe more open era where the machine politics that has defined Salisbury perhaps is turning a corner.
Right now you have two Republicans in Sharon DeShiel and Randy Taylor, and two Democrats in April Jackson and Melissa Holland, who have shown that they can put party politics aside and get working on the city. Now we only have two left in the minority of folks who want to put party first and ideology first above the city's interest, and they're no longer in positions of authority. So
that would seem like a pretty good
observation.
Good observation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we don't need to make this partisan.
No.
I think we're proving that.
Yes.
Well, not we. I'm not there.
Right.
But they're proving that in that experiment.
And I think we're going to finally see that experiment play out as we get into next week. So
I'm excited for the city of Salisbury.
Everybody is. Yeah. Everybody is.
And the best part is if you laugh loudly, you might not have the police called on you.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Or snuck. Yeah.
But tell you what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring in our new council president for a few minutes. And what I'd like to do, Joe, is if you could come back for the last segment, and this Joe and I will talk to Miss April about specifically not only what happened, but what her vision is as the new president and where she sees the council and the executive branch moving forward together.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what she has to say.
Yeah, no, she's always a treat. So. All right. Great. All right, thank you. Joe, are you going to stick around?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, we'll be right back with our next segment of Open Agenda with City Council President April Jackson. Welcome back to Open Agenda. So this week we have the newly christened City Council President with us, Miss April Jackson.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for joining us. And back with us in the House is City Resident Joe Scafino. Welcome back. So, President Jackson, a lot of big things have happened in city government the last couple weeks, obviously.
Yes.
There was what I would say, and I think what others would say, was a pretty surprising, unexpected reorganization that occurred not too long ago at the earlier part of February. And now you find yourself as the new council president.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Again, and then you have Michelle Deschiel, who's the vice president.
Yes.
And I guess the question becomes, at this point, what was your initial reaction when that reorganization happened?
Totally shocked. Totally taken back. It was just like my mouth got caught in it. I was like, what in the world? And if you can remember, if you look at the video.
I call for a motion of a reorganization of the city council.
Made a motion.
Yes, ma'am.
I second.
I said, did you make a motion to Melissa? And she said, yes, I made a motion. And I was like, okay, how are we going to move forward with this? I mean, it was totally by surprise. And everybody thinks that it was, and everybody think we knew about it. No, we did not.
I think if you watch the video, you can see the shock on certainly your face and other
Yes.
people's face.
And the audience.
I brought this up, but like if you watch the front row of audience members when it happened, they all pull out their phones and start texting somebody like something's about to go down.
Yes.
So this was really a big shock then that you didn't anticipate, but yet now you find yourself in the president's chair.
Yes.
So I guess the question becomes, as city council president, what vision do you have going forward in that role, and also what do you think are the big priorities that as president you're hoping to tackle?
The biggest priority I see is bringing the council and the executive body together as a whole, because we'll never move this forward if we're not on the same page. We don't have to always agree, but we need to, the communication there's a communication barrier, and we have to get past that communication barrier. We have to communicate. And as far as the council is concerned, we must work together. As I said, the executive body should. We have to be on task. You know, moving the city forward is basically what I want to do. I mean, however I have to, I will. I don't have an agenda, per se, not a personal agenda. It's just opening up, letting the citizens know there's transparency. We want transparency, and we want means of communicating.
So is it fair to say that in a lot of ways your new presidency is really about repairing some of the damage that seems to sort of have happened recently? Because I don't think it's controversial to say that a lot of people have observed a lot of dysfunction under the previous president's tenureship.
Previous two, yeah. The
Previous
last
two,
two.
really, yeah.
Well, it does. It does need some repairing. It definitely does need repairing, because we were all out of sorts, you know. And I think that repairing or fixing what has been broken, because in always we've been violated, you know, and we violated our citizens. They can't trust us, and I honestly understand why. I do understand why. And we have to win their trust back. So, like I said, working together, it's a whole different picture when you're working together. It brings back a vibrant city. It brings back trust, brings back transparency, and that's what I want. And that's what we need. And I'm going to say this, it's not what I want. Because I'll say this, you know, you hear people say I or me. No, it's we. We need to restore the trust back to the citizens to let them know that we're working to move the city forward. And, you know, political parties, it doesn't matter, because we had people of all political parties here in the city of Salisbury. So when we work for one, we should be working for all.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. That's what we want to do, you know. And I keep saying I, and I don't mean I, because I don't take this for granted, and I don't take it as I'm a one-man show, because I'm not a one-man show. That's what I'm not. It's going to take us all to do what's right, including the executive branch of the city government.
What do you think, Joe? Because you've, again, as a city resident, observed a lot of these issues in the past, and I think what President Jackson is talking about in regards to kind of putting the personal agendas to the side and having a consensus, it seems that now with the mayor and with, it would seem, not only you, but with two other members that seem to want to build a consensus, at least to work with the executive, that there really is some potential for moving forward rather than sort of just spinning our wheels. What do you think? Is that fair?
I agree. I mean, I've been here 6.5 years. I started attending meetings about 2 years ago, and right away I recognized it was kind of dysfunctional. And one of the things my wife and I realized, it was a beautiful city, has a lot of potential, and it wasn't being realized. And you know, as I learned things that had happened, I wanted to see changes, and we're finally at a point where I think we can now move forward. I think there's a lot of potential now to get things. Let's
talk about that for a minute, because now that we are past the reorganization process, and now it seems that we're moving forward, you know, with a somewhat unified council and executive, at least in terms of, at this point, it would seem three members plus the mayor. We have budget season coming up.
Yes.
Okay, so the timing for this is actually quite good, because this is really where the rubber meets the road.
And it takes working with the council for the budget.
And do you see any particular areas of concern as president in regards to the city's budget and funding priorities that you're hoping to address or sort of clarify with the mayor's office?
Well, from what I can understand, a lot of the department heads are not asking for a lot, because they know that right now we're in somewhat of a deficit. So they're not requiring a lot this year, and we're going to give what we can give. You can't, they say you can't get blood out of a turnip.
Yeah.
So you can't get what we don't have, and I don't want to put us in a further deficit, but in all, we're going to be working together. We're going to be doing this together. It's not about just me doing the budget or examining the mayor's budget. We all examine that mayor's budget before we get to the table and actually discuss it. We should be all getting together and sending the budget. The actual schedule is out, and when the budget goes out, we can sit down and we can say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And we've done that for years, because even with Jack Keefe, we've always had a discussion. And I think it was last year, even with Deshaun, we did pretty good, and it moved kind of smoothly. I can't take anything from it, from him anyway. It went kind of smoothly, but what we have to realize is prior to, before, how we got into these deficits, and try not to get back into them again. So sitting down discussing with the council would be a great thing, and they're ready to do that. At least three of them are.
Okay.
I don't know about the other two, but I know at least three of them are. And hey, if she want to join in, and which they have all right, I could never deny them. That's what I want to do. I don't want us to be sitting at a meeting and we have to be at each other's throats. I want us to be able to be adults about what we're doing, and professional.
Well, and especially working on the budget, right? Where you have to be at the table. And because these numbers matter in a lot of ways. Because they're people's lives, there are resources.
Yes, they are.
So,
yes, they are.
So that's
and I don't want to have to take any more from our citizens. I want people to live the quality of life that they deserve, and I think our citizens deserve a lot better than what they've got.
Yeah. Well, and it seems too that, to your point about the budget and the city's interests, that there are a lot of projects that both the council and the mayor's office are pretty more or less in compliance with, in the sense of the North Prong Park project, which is very dear to you.
Yes.
That's also very important to the mayor, from what he said. And these projects are moving along.
Yes.
The West Side Community Center obviously is another major thing that's been so. It's unfortunate that in watching some of the dysfunction that's played out on the council in recent years, that's hopefully now a thing of the past, there are still things getting done.
Yes, there are.
And-
Yes, there are. And I can give it all to the mayor and the administration. And working with them has been a pleasure to me. It's not much I haven't asked for my district or for the city, the entire city, that I haven't gotten. He's done a great job with the infrastructure, the roads, and things. And a lot of people want to take credit for that. But the credit goes to the mayor. For his work, because he has done some great things. And I know everybody probably won't agree with me on some things. And like I said again, it doesn't matter the political party. What to me is the heart of man. What's his heart? And it doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. Let's come together and let's make sure that this city is run properly and we get through whatever we have to.
I like that phrase of, have it be run properly, because I think most people agree that when it comes, especially to local politics, and that's something that we've strived for on our show, is, we very much disagree perhaps on state or national issues, but historically local politics and local issues are not partisan, right? Like North Prong Park is not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue.
No, it's not.
And you're a Democrat, he's a Republican, Sharon Shields a Republican, Melissa Holland's a Democrat. So you have two Democrats and two Republicans, but you're looking at local issues as the thing that brings you together.
And that's what we should be doing.
Salisbury first.
Yes, it shouldn't be about a political party. Because like I said, we represent them all.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't see how we can, just say, okay, we want what the Democrats want. I want what we need. I want what we need, not what a Democrat wants, what a Republican wants. We all come to the table. Everybody gets their fair share of everything.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be. And that's how the city should be run. I can't, for the life of me, I don't understand how, when we get up there, you got your own personal agendas. You got what you want to see done, but it's not brought before the whole council. Everything that we want to have done should be brought before the whole entire council.
Yeah, yeah. And it would seem, too, that when you have the local community involved and they feel that things are of a good accord, you'll get more participation.
Yes, yes.
Because, one of the things that has been brought up recently, and I think this was somewhat of the argument for people that were pushing for ranked choice voting, is they were arguing that our voter turnout is so low that it needed a change. But you could make the argument that there's a lot of other reasons why our turnout is so low. We have a lot of high rentership. We have a lot of, transient people. And then, of course, if you do see dysfunction in city government, you're probably going to be less inclined to participate.
That's right. That's right. You see where you can trust the people who are sitting in this seat, because the people put us here.
Yeah.
Our citizens put us in these places. So is it not fair that we don't represent them? We should be representing our citizens. And we should be forthcoming with information. The communication that I think that we should be giving to our citizens hasn't been forthcoming.
That's been the biggest complaint, is the transparency. You hear it. So hopefully that's going to change.
Yeah.
Well, do you see, with your new role as president, sort of more efforts to engage the public as issues come up? For example, I believe you're going to address the appointment process very soon.
Yes.
And there was a notice put out not too long ago about that for a special meeting.
Yes.
So it seems that this is now beginning to play out exactly as you would have hoped.
Put what's more important first. I've said it numerous times at our city council meeting. The appointment process is very, very detrimental because of how it went this last appointment time. And who knows whether I may get sick, can't return, Melissa, whatever, any circumstances or whatever, Sharon, or either Michelle or Angela. And we don't have an appointment process in place.
Yeah.
So we go through the same thing again, and it's unnecessary when we should be taking care. That is vital right now to our city, because when those people, the citizens, spoke, they told us what they wanted. Now, not everything you want you may get, and that's been told to me since a child. But you'll get what you need, what is much needed, and this is needed. This is needed. You know, so we've got to do what's right by the people.
Right.
They spoke, and we have to listen.
All right, and now the change is going to be coming up.
Yes.
So,
And it takes a lot of pressure off the council. Once we get this process straight, we won't have to deal with the issue again.
so for the public's benefit, we're looking at a March 12th meeting, correct, for the appointment process?
No,
February
February
23rd.
23rd. Oh,
That's
no,
the
I was-
special work
I was
session.
a little-
You were thinking of the town hall.
Town hall,
Rule
sorry,
of orders
yeah.
and the code of conduct.
Okay.
Yes.
So, that's what I was thinking of. The
Yeah,
town hall.
no, the town
So it's
hall.
coming up
Yeah.
even faster. So February
Yeah.
23rd, next week.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think the public now, hopefully, is going to get to see some of those changes that you were talking about as things begin to move forward.
I just want to be, and it's not that I want to be, I just want to make sure everybody is happy. At least the majority of us are content with what is going on in the city. And I just want to bring that wholeness. And I want to bring that transparency. And I want to bring the ability that, to be able to communicate with the citizens as I had been already. I have great communication with my citizens, the citizens that I serve, and other citizens in other districts have come to me. I just want to make sure everything is fine. We can't, this is something that we just have to get past, and these party affiliations are just tearing my nerves up, for real.
It's a distraction.
Yeah, it is. It's just tearing my nerves up. And, I am a Democrat, but I'm for what's right.
Yeah.
And I've been called pro-Randy. And no, I'm not pro-Randy. I'm pro-right. It's what's right. If Randy's right, I'll agree. If Randy's wrong, I'll disagree.
And you have.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's as if compromise has become a dirty word, especially when it's about a bread and butter issue that most people would agree
And
is
we
not.
have to compromise. We have to come together and make sure things are done right. Even if we don't agree,
Right.
we got to be more logical and say, okay, now look, analyze it. Is this what's best for the city? Even though I may not agree with it, if this is what best, and if we all come to the consensus, okay, April, let's let it go. Let's see how it works. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not the only person sitting there. I have to listen to the other ears and the other mouths, that are speaking on our council.
Right.
So.
Well, we're going to see that play out hopefully pretty soon. So I think the big buzzword or term is wait and see, because it's coming up soon.
Yeah.
So we'll be excited to see what happens at that 23rd meeting next week. So President Jackson, congratulations again on your
Thank
new,
you.
on
Thank
your new
you. Thank you
position
so
for
much.
coming out, and thank you for talking
For
with
having
us.
me.
Absolutely. Stick around, and we'll be right back with our next segment of Open Agenda. Welcome back to Open Agenda, otherwise known as the Three Joes Show today. So back with us in the house is Joe White, and sticking with us, of course, is Mr. Joe Scafino. So let's go to this Joe first. I'm curious what you thought of somebody not named Joe, our new council president, Miss April Jackson. What do you think about sort of this moment as she takes the helm? What was your...
I'm excited for the city. Watching her in action the last 2 years, I've learned that she's someone who not only talks the talk, but she walks the walk. And I think that's going to be a great benefit of any leader. And I'm looking forward to her leadership.
Yeah, seems like a straight shooter.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How about you, Joe?
Well, I mean, look, on national politics, I don't agree with Ms. Jackson on very much, but I do love her passion for the city of Salisbury, and I do agree with what Joe Scafino just said. I've never questioned whether or not I understood how she felt about a subject. And most importantly, when I've watched, before they did the change to insert her as president, she kept coming back to, we need to get appointment reform done. We need to get, so, when someone's a broken record, but it's so consistent, I now have confidence they can get this done.
Yeah, and to that point, and of course I was wrong about the date, but that issue is going to be addressed very soon.
Special work session.
Special work session, February 23rd, is coming up next week. And so we're going to finally see movement on something that I think we all would agree the previous council president did not really want done, it seemed.
To me, there was a tell at the end of the last city council meeting. Obviously, former President Angela Blake had been moved over to another seat, but when he got to council comments, she started going back through the agenda of things she wanted to talk about again. Affordable housing.
It's been several busy weeks, and I think the council does have a lot to be proud of. There's several housing items that are moving forward, and we're approaching on addressing issues with low-income-based housing in multifamily housing developments. And I have more details about that in just a minute. Other points of interest, a housing policy discussion is emerging as we go into March. We'll be talking about sharing a preliminary information about Maryland jurisdictions that require and encourage a percentage of the new housing developments to include lower income housing opportunities. These are examples that we'll provide for discussion. And again, I know for 2 years the council had been beating the drum of this project. I know the council's been talking about that for several years. You've been championing that for a while. So we are on the verge of talking about that. Let's see, homelessness, again, in November, we had some homeless experts come, looking at a date to come back and talk about the homelessness topic as a whole is in June, but starting to plan and program now is very important. So those things are coming on the horizon. So the council has done a lot of amazing things.
Appointment reform. Election reform.
It was the greatest hits record,
The greatest hits, or maybe like the worst hits.
Well, it was like that album that was never released, you know?
It reminds me back in college, a professor that just lectures over the same thing, but you never move the class along.
Yeah.
And you saw so many people go up in public comments and say, hey, can we get this done?
Yeah.
Talking about appointment reform. Can we get this done?
I know.
We don't need to talk about it anymore. Michael Langford said it really well. Their job is to legislate, and they weren't legislating, but I bet they do now.
I think it's going to be interesting to see like what actually happens now that we've got not only this issue on the main table, finally, after being on the back burner for God knows how long, but we also have budget season coming up. We've got a lot of projects, right? The capital improvement plan was presented. So I agree. I think now you're going to actually see some stuff getting done. And I think, to your point earlier, and also yours, you know, President Jackson, whether you agree or disagree with certain positions, whether it's locally, nationally, or at the state level, you know exactly where she stands on those issues. And she will prioritize the things that she wants to, and otherwise maybe won't. But you will know.
I've always admired new Vice President Sharon DeShiel. I mean, I think she's a strong conservative. She's boots on the ground when it comes to working, you know, with her community, the ones who are needy and the ones who are just looking to move up to the next level. Her and President Jackson have been so communicative to each other, despite the fact they were kind of shoehorned into the corner for a while. They stayed patient. They still did the people's work. And now those two ladies will be able, very dynamic. I mean, a Republican and a Democrat. Not that it really matters much in this city.
I don't think they see it.
They don't see it that way.
Nope.
But I think the city of Salisbury will be much better served with those two there.
I'm excited. Like to
absolutely.
To your point, and it'll be interesting to see now if the executive branch, the department heads, and the council, and let's be honest, the clerk, now can all move together of one accord. Now that it would seem that this change has happened, and now there's a path forward.
Mayor Taylor has had, I think, a fairly ambitious plan, especially when it comes to getting some of the development projects, not development like housing necessarily, but parks and drainage issues and that sort of thing. With a council that wasn't always present, maybe lived across the bridge, who just wasn't willing to work with him, was more interested in where he was eating his lunch. Now you actually have people, at least 3 of them, who are looking to make Salisbury a better place.
Yeah.
So let's watch them do it.
Yeah, I think that's really a good way to put it, and certainly to end it as we look to next week to hopefully see some of this actually transpire.
Sure.
So, gentlemen, thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. We will keep the public updated as we get into not only the next meeting, but in the coming months as some very big developments happen. So, thank you so much for sticking around with us this week for Open Agenda. We'll see you next week.